Okay, go.
Even in a small way, that somebody says, there's place for me outside of making kvod shumaim and doing Ratzon Hashem. I can't be such a frume. I can't be so frum. They're always thinking about Ratzon Hashem. Give me space. Give me my own space. So that's the shilshal cotton that the Yizvitzir says that you're worshiping this, you're making an avodah zarah out of the shilshal cotton, that little snail, there's no kvod shomayim that comes out of it. It lives in its own world besides Hashem's world. That's avodah zarah. And a person says on himself, or thinks on himself, or deep down in his subconscious, he has this feeling. Well, now I'm now on my own. I don't have to. I'll learn a little bit, but I'm not meshubah to give my whole self over. That is called, there's a place besides Ratzon Hashem. That means I'm something, and Ratzon Hashem is something. And that's the definition of modern. What's the difference between a haredi and a modern? So this Hirschman in his book, in his excellent book that I was so impressed from, he says the difference is in Fishatiu Amelim Batorah. That's the difference. Domo Torah means I'm willing to sacrifice, and the non-Haredi says, what do you mean? And I'm not a person, I'm not something? I'll pay my dues to Hashem, I'll daven 3 times a day, I'll learn a little bit here and there, and besides that, let me enjoy myself. We'll go out for a pizza. We'll go out, we'll do things. Of course, whatever you have to do for the family to make your family happy, it's Kodesh Kodoshim to do that. That's again Ratzon Hashem. And if you need it for your own relaxation, it's also Ratzon Hashem. But always to have that in mind. That's the modern person says, there's me. There's the Torah, there's Yiddish, and there's me. I'm something also. The world is something also. The little snail is something also besides Ratzon Hashem. That's already kfirah. Comes out that the one that's not homo b'Torah, there's deep down, there is a bechina of kfirah. He's not outright saying Hashem doesn't exist, but he's making a place where Hashem doesn't exist. In his way of life, it's a way of life of kfirah. To say that we're not choshed and that I can't say, we also have that problem. Definitely we have it very strongly. I myself have that problem. But I try. But at least we know what the right way is. We have the hashkafa. But that was the hashkafa of Moshe Rabbeinu, that he was Moshe Nefesh for Torah, and that was the hashkafa in all Torahs, and that was the way that the Gra lived, that he only slept 2 hours, and he only ate a little bit. And that was all Gedolei Yisrael lived like that, and it doesn't matter from which group they belonged to, Hasidim or Misnagdim or Sfardim, it was all this. This was the way Klal Yisrael lived in all Doros before they got the name Haredim. Came along a modern world and said, much stronger than ever, there's a world out there also, and that's especially when it came to the world, the concept of tarbut hapnai, going to the movies and watching television and going out, and what it's called in the Israelis called levalot, and all that. So when that came down to the world, that created a matzav that there's place that's outside of Ratzon Hashem. And this book, he points out, this is what a haredi is, Shetiu Amelim Batorah, and not have that. And this was always here. And this is a terrible mistake that those that talk about the Haredim as a certain group that was created at some point in time, it's very wrong. Anybody who's not a Haredi has to answer, what does he do with the Rashi of Shetiu HaMelim B'Torah. Yeah, it sounds very, very extreme. And I admit that I myself don't live up to what I'm saying. But let's all be mechazik ourselves. Let's add a little bit. Let's try. Let's make a kviz in all times of day whenever we can. Let's steal from the time that we relax and learn. And by the way, I remember another thing. In this book, he goes through different personalities in the Chumash, and he asks, was he a haredi? Was he a haredi? I don't remember, but I remember that he asked, was Korach a haredi, or was he not a haredi? Now, if you look in the Medrash, the famous Medrash says that he started complaining about that he made up a whole story with Almona that they took trumas and maishers and reshis agez and everything, and nothing was left for her. And then she said everything should be muchram lashamayim. And then Aaron HaKohen came and took away the whole thing. What was he saying? What was Korach? And the Rashi calls it divrei leitzanos. Rashi calls it. He was making divrei leitzanos all night. He was trying to say, we can't do this kind of Torah that we have to, on every movement we make in every stage of growing the wheat in the field, on every stage there's a mitzvah that comes. We can't live this kind of life. We can't be charedim, Korach said. We have to let's plant the field and take all the tvua for ourselves and leave me alone. I learn, I daven. What do you want? What do you, Moshe Rabbeinu, want to make us into charedim? The truth is that Korach, it's not as poshut as you think. Korach, really what he was saying was he wants Avodas Hashem. In fact, it's going to be, we have another few weeks, we're getting close to Parshas Korach. Korach was saying he wants Avodas Hashem, he wants to go into the Kodesh HaKadosh, and you think he was just covered he was looking for? He wanted Madregas, he wanted to go into the Kodesh HaKadosh to reach Madregas. But the Torah knew that deep down there was Negis. He meant himself. He didn't want covet. He wanted madregas in order to feel good about himself. And that was Korach. And that brought to divrei leitzanos, to making leitzanos from the Torah. Instead of being misbattled to Ratzon Hashem, I don't know. V'Aaron Ma'u Tzadikim said, you want to know who Aaron is? Kisalinu aloft. Try arguing with him. Try fighting with him. Then you'll see who Aaron is. Because Aaron didn't answer. The Ramban says, L'rov musro u'kedushoso. Aaron held that Korach is right. Yeah, he deserves to be the Kohen Gadol much more than me. He's a much bigger tzaddik than me. And maybe he probably was. He's much bigger Baal Madrega. Minose Aaron, he carried on. But what did Aaron say? I made myself a Kohen Gadol. I'm doing the shlichus of Hashem with Moshe Rabbeinu. B'Shem Hashem made me a Kohen Gadol. I did something. But to answer back, he couldn't answer Korach. Because he thought Korach is right. Yeah, he's a big Baal Madrega. Who am I? He was a big Rebbe. He had Mosayim B'Chamishim Roshi Sanhedros in his party. But he was, even though he was such a tzaddik and so frum and such an Oved Hashem and such a looking for madregas, but he was not a Haredi, because deep down there was a certain feeling of I need some space for my madregas. I can't have this situation of Aaron HaKohen of Bitul HaGom, Aaron and Moshe Bitul HaGom to Ratzon Hashem. Yeah, Korach was the first non-Haredi, I'm afraid. You want to know how far back the Haredim go? Talmid of Shal Moshe. You want to know how far back the modern Orthodox, the non-Haredim go? They were in the same generation. There was Korach. But Korach never left any Talmidim, and they all later generations picked up the Shita of Korach in a much, much worse way. And they're the ones that gave us a name, haredi. And we want to give a special Yasher Koch to, I think his name is Tzvi Stark, for writing that book and to bringing to life this Rashi. And I want to give him a big Yasher Koch for the book that he made. I read it a long time ago, and I hope he'll be able to sell what's left in his machzan from that book. And he should be matzliach in everything he does. And it should be a futzumayna secha chutza. You brought out a nekuda. You were mazaka the rabbin with this book, and leich bekocha chazeh v'shata sisvo shata sisvo. Okay.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Kaplan.
Yeah.
Oops.
How long?
Well, what's